Hello, everybody. My name is Freo. I'm the CEO and co-founder of OP Games, and I am here with a couple of really notable individuals in the blockchain space as we are going to talk about designing fun-to-earn games. Our panelists will talk about decentralized web gaming and getting it right from an economic and entertainment standpoint. So I guess without further ado, let's go ahead and start with a brief introduction about yourselves, gentlemen. Maybe we can start with Simon.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for having me here. We're excited, and it's great to be talking about play to earn and games, blockchain games in general. So my name is Simon. I'm the CEO of MixMob. We're a play to earn game powered by Solana, and we work under one premise. What would we do if an AI deleted our culture? And so under that premise, what we did is, in our Lord, we went underneath, created a resistance movement, grabbed what we could from the culture that was left, and created a group to go and fight back the AI that deleted our culture. And our mission is to hack into their vault and take the NFTs out that he took. And so that's the premise. And so right now we just launched actually our NFT project. We created 5,000 masks. So the masks that we created were bits and pieces of culture, and we sold the first 5,000 to generate community and start building the game and the awareness. That happened yesterday, and that's it from me. I'm excited to be here, and yeah, looking forward to discussing play to earn.
Thanks, Simon. Now let's move on to Jesse.
Hi, everyone. Jesse here from Pixelcraft Studios. We're building out Aavegotchi. Aavegotchi are NFTs that may at first glance look like your normal profile pic NFT, like a PFP or an avatar for your social media. But under the surface, we've gone to great lengths to make them extremely interesting in a technical sense as well, and also for a purpose, which is longevity and securing them for the future. So not just the metadata, but that you typically think of like traits, but even the visuals are completely saved on chain. We run on Polygon. So as long as that Polygon network exists, you have complete confidence these NFTs are here to stay. And there is a spectrum there. So it's really important that when we launched this, we wanted this to be a central premise for Aavegotchis. They're cute little pixelated ghosts that will live forever on the chain. There's a lot of other things we're playing with, but really what we're most excited about now is we've been around about 1.5 years. There's been 2 generations of Aavegotchis that have been issued so far. They're called haunts, right, appropriately. And now they need a place to live. So from the very beginning, when we first issued the original white paper, we said there would be a virtual world for them to explore and socialize in. And we're getting very close to realizing that. And that's going to be the more kind of play to earn game that people have been expecting. And that's going to be a browser-based, very accessible experience called the Gotchiverse. And so the Gotchiverse is our take on the Metaverse and Web3 gaming. And that will be launching at the very beginning of 2022. The open beta will be, and that includes live play to earn action and the real deal on Polygon. So that's kind of where we are in our cycle, and we're super excited towards where we're going.
Fantastic. We're all excited to actually play that, Jesse. Looking forward to it. And next one would be Kijun.
Yeah, hey, great. So great to be here and great to be on the panel with you guys. Super excited to discuss free to play, free to earn games, and also blockchain gaming. So I'm Kijun, CEO of Planetarium. We started our company in 2018 with the goal of the fully decentralized games that are open source and powered by the community. So we have our blockchain technology SDK that's specialized for Unity, so that Unity game developers can make customized mainnet that powers your entire game. So for last year, we launched a game called Chronicles, which is 100% open source, full chain RPG that yeah, has a pretty good, solid movement behind us of 40,000 people on Discord channel. And like we've recently hit our like all-time DAU high. And what's interesting about it is that the game itself is a beautiful two-dimensional RPG, made with lots of love from our game team and also our art team. But at the same time, the entire thing is open source, so developers and other players can take it, mod it, build it the way that you want to. And we're also helping out some other teams to cross over to the Web3 world as well. So yeah, and one plug, we like with the whole play to earn aspect, we are currently hosting a season where more than 500,000, like close to 500,000 NCG, which are like our base layer token, are being given out. That's like worth about $1 million, being distributed over 2 weeks. So some cool opportunities to learn. Super excited to discuss more on this with the panel. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you, Kijun, for that introduction. I think like we kind of like settled right now that everybody seems to be working on really, really cool projects at the moment. And we can't all wait to see what we've got in the next couple of days or weeks or months leading up to the launches. But I guess like let's dive into the topic of the conversation today regarding play to earn games in general. And like we've titled the session as designing fun to earn games instead of play to earn games. And I think we're going to lead into that conversation later. But I guess let me ask any one of you, what is your ideal fun to earn games? I guess let's call it Simon.
Awesome. Yeah, I can go. So it's a great question, because for me, what play to earn and earn brings to the table is a new layer of the traditional game. So I come from games. I worked at EA for many years in the FIFA franchise and Poker Stars. And I started my career actually developing Facebook games. So creating fun games it's at its core, right? Which is what we're all doing. But this new level of economy and play to earn, bringing financial literacy to the table of playing games is a new level. So I think what makes a fun play and earn or play to earn is the combination of skill. This is just my personal opinion. Luck and strategy. And then we add that a little bit of a sprinkle of financial literacy and financial gamification, and I think we have a really good solid base at a high level. That's what we're doing at MixMob right now, just adding those 4 components. And the last thing I'll say is, when you have a game, you want a really big economy in terms of things to do in the game. So you got to target what is traditionally the achievers, the creators, the collectors, and the socializers. But now you have to also target the financial savvy people that want to come into your game and just have fun with financial tools. So I think that's the new level for me.
That's good. And maybe either Kijun or Jesse could chime in as well in terms of like what you guys see as an ideal play to earn or fun to earn games, so to speak.
Sure, I'll just comment on I like the session title and how it sounds like they should be synonyms, right? Like play to earn, fun to earn. But I think the emphasis here that we're getting at is that it really has to be an enjoyable experience with Web3, and the earning can't be alone. Like you're just really emphasizing the front half of this, which is playing and having fun. So when we've looked at what we've done at Aavegotchi, we're always saying, how can we gamify it? Which is another way of saying, how can we make this actually enjoyable? And so earlier I was saying how our metaverse is kind of like this play to earn game extrinsically, but intrinsically for over a year now, we've had the typical Aavegotchi as itself, which we think of as like an intrinsic game. And so what I mean by that is just like a Tamagotchi that we kind of reference in our name, the NFT itself is fun to play with. And so it's already a fun to earn game by just saying, we're going to provide a very cute interface, very simple feedback mechanisms that give you joy and are relatively casual. You know, it's like a Tamagotchi. It's something you do once or twice a day. You interact with your NFT and we'll incentivize you for doing so. So in our case, it's like you pet your Aavegotchi. It's proof of attention. You're proving that you actually, said good morning to your NFT that day. That was one of our original ideas because I had a bunch of crypto kitties and I was like, they kind of just sit in my wallet unless I use them for demonstration purposes or I'm like speculating on OpenSea or something. So for the most part, even with that original, just the NFT itself, it needs to be fun. And then you can take that and scale it to full-blown games from there.
Sounds good. Sounds good. And Kijun, anything to add?
Yeah, just one comment. Yeah, I totally agree with everything that's been said. And I think one thing to add is, it should be, I think designing something, an element of the game that you can earn from could be a bit straightforward. But I think designing fun to spend games are that's really the tricky part because, you can't just have everyone be earning at the same time. Someone needs to be also spending and also finding the fun in spending. So how do you incentivize that through social dynamics, through values that you create within your ecosystem? I think it's the fun and interesting and part that we, are all trying to figure out as an industry. So I think, how do we not only distribute, but how do we also get the spending to occur in what new forms, which is what we're curious to find out for the next years to come.
Yeah, I think leading up to that sort of like premise in terms of like play to earn or fun to earn, or in terms of like what we've titled the session with. Do you guys think that current blockchain games or games on Web3 right now are fun to play? Or or we've already hit that balance? Because like Web2 games, for example, they're all about fun. Obviously, it's all about the entertainment of like casual games being time wasters that keeps you preoccupied, right? Or hardcore, mid-core games that basically allows you to invest a lot of your time because you enjoy playing it. Do you think we've reached that point, or do you think that play to earn right now is still in that stage where it's more about financial incentives?
I think it's so early that there is not, from my perspective, there's not like a fun game out there just yet on the play to earn space. There is. So I love Axie Infinity and we play it, and that set the stage for us. I mean, CryptoKitties, to Jesse's point, they started it, I think, in a sense, but you couldn't do anything with your CryptoKitties. Now with Axies and what Jesse's doing and what we're all doing is it's just gamifying that experience more. But it's so early, and one of the things that we have noticed is that a lot of the games are turn-based, at least the popular ones. And turn-based is good, but it's not as fun as when you have something that is more twitchable, something that's more synchronous. So I think the sky's the limit right now. I think we're just scratching the surface.
Yeah, I would just jump in and say that's pretty much my thoughts too, is like the variety of games is not quite there yet. But if you think about fun and play to earn, you could argue that it is already fun. It's just not in the way I think you typically mean, which is like the UX of the game is super polished. And instead, it's this really unique kind of new genre emerging where I guess we're all like having fun. We're definitely having fun in the Aavegotchi community, but it's like the gameplay in the browser is one piece. Then there's the community meetups. Then there's the I'm voting in a DAO. Then there's the I'm doing all these different things. I'm trading on an NFT marketplace. Going back to kind of this idea that you have to have fun spending as well. And so we've created like a really extremely unique kind of, we call it the bazaar for a reason. It's like this wild place where you go and throw money and watch it burn. So it's like all those things put together, it's definitely can be fun. And I think Axie and a lot of others are achieving that in various degrees. These communities are super tight, super inspiring to each other. But if you just take the obvious like is it an amazing like AAA UX type of game? Probably not, but everything put together creates a very interesting new paradigm, new something new for sure.
I mean,
that's a very interesting
when,
point. Kijun, go ahead.
when mobile came along, people were like, "Hey, no one's gonna play games on mobile. It's got a small screen, and you can't have a controller." And like I also started gaming during during the mobile game and Facebook game age, and we were like, Facebook games are no fun, but like millions and millions of people were playing them, right? So I think there's this like I think we do have a glorified way of treating AAA games with 40-hour plus. I love them, I play them, but there are many different types of games. Hundreds of thousands of games come out every year, and it's I think we are finding more ways to integrate traditional ways of fun into NFTs and like play to earn games. But I do think that in many respects, players do find this new ecosystem very fun and very challenging and very interesting, interactive. So yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. These are really great answers, guys. Just because, the reason why I asked is because like I kept on getting asked every once in a while by a couple of people in terms of like, Chase, you're a big advocate of play to earn, but at some point, Chase, that will become work, and where's the fun in that? And I'm like, well, work can be fun, right? Who says that work cannot be fun, right? And earning something can be fun as well. So like, you guys are right. Like, it's definitely all about what definition of fun is. And a lot of times people tend to compare that kind of like gameplay, that core loop that allows people to actually play Web2 games, and sort of like identify fun around that, and now try to actually look for that within Web3 games. And obviously that's going to happen at some point in the future. But there are other things that's in place right now that sort of like gives us this whole point of having a play to earn game, which is that aligned financial incentives that allows us to actually benefit more in the game. So I guess like leading up to the question, what do you think are the biggest challenges that Web3 gaming are currently facing? And I guess to add to that, and what can we do to solve that?
For me, I would say like infrastructure and regulations. Those two things come up on my mind. One is that infrastructure, we have to figure out how to. So a lot of games just right now use NFT, not use blockchain as like a storage layer to transmit NFTs across, and that's great. Could we do something even more interesting? But how can we do it? And getting developers to be like very immersed and understanding this new technological stack, and also the stack becoming better to accommodate game developers. I think but it is happening. It is going to slowly happen over the next 3 to 5 years, and we're super bullish on that. That's also why we are also developing a stack of tools for us and for other developers to build and work on. At the same time, regulations, when you say, hey, like in order to begin, you have to like go buy ETH from, for example, like Coinbase, and then like get that to your wallet and then start playing the game. Like you have to do your KYC and like all and figuring out how to just like onboard free to play players for blockchain gaming. I think that's going to be an issue that we are all looking to solve.
Yeah, definitely. User onboarding is definitely one of those biggest challenges. Anything else that you guys want to add?
I'll oh yeah, go ahead, Jesse.
Yeah, I was going to say pretty much it's those two. The regulations introduce friction. So yeah, I'll pass on this one to Simon. That's pretty much what I was going to say.
I will add one more. I was at Breakpoint just early this month, Solana Breakpoint, and when I went around and asked people about what the biggest challenge was, regardless of the project, it was talent. So, and we're seeing this right now. We're all creating content related, all about entertainment products, right? And when we watch a really great movie, when we play a really great game, it's the talent, is the directors, is the all of us that make that great content. And right now, it's just starting. So, it's coming, but for us is one of the biggest challenges too, is we need we need a wave of great talent, more and more of us to bring to the ecosystem and create great games. That's one more that I would.
Yeah. And I think like the surge of also like play to earn gaming companies or gaming companies in general on the Web3 has immensely grown to a point where there's now more of a shortage of human capital versus actual capital itself, and that kind of like contributed to that as well. But I guess like like as an industry as a whole, like that's kind of like a good problem to have in a way that can be solved eventually. And so yeah, I guess like if I may ask, I'd say Jesse first. Why do you think game developers should move to Web3? I mean, like specifically those that are actually doing games in Web2. What do you think? Why do you think they should actually explore?
Yeah, I think that as individuals, they have a lot of that. If they're passionate about what they do, then this is something that should naturally appeal to a curious mind, right? It's like we've pushed graphics to their limits. We've got online gaming at high speed. What's the next like iteration of gaming? And as a whole, like what is the next big step? Mobile gaming, grew into its own. I think Web3 gaming is the obvious case, like play to earn, metaverse ownership economy, this kind of ownership digital economy. This is all the next frontier for games. So if you're talented and you're already a great game maker, why wouldn't you want to be a part of this journey? And that's the story we've been pushing to in our own outreach and hiring. I'm sure everyone here is like aggressively hiring because like Simon said, there's a talent shortage. And so that's a big part of what we're trying to say is, be part of something special. A lot of people are initially, we've seen some that are like, well, I'm not really sure if this is for me because XYZ, there's a lot of noise. I can't tell what's quality. But, if they sit down and get to know you and your project and what you're about, more often than not, they'll get very excited. So we've had pretty good success recruiting. I think we're at a team of about 35 now altogether, and that's all in the last year and a half. And so the core team building out these games is almost all devs, and a lot of them come from the traditional gaming space now. We've got a core unit building out the Gotchiverse that comes from Capcom, even ex World of Warcraft guys, Blizzard. So they are open to it, and some of them are diving in head first. Some are going in with just a toe, but I think it's the door's wide open. And if I was in their position, it's like dream come true. They get more creative freedom, and they could deliver something that has significant impact for people. That when we talk about play to earn, who's doing the earning? It's like, who do you want to affect in a positive way? And once they get over like, okay, this isn't just gambling, then they're pretty much, much more open-minded to it.
That's good. Yeah, Simon, you want to add something?
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with everything Jesse said. And just we all come from gaming, and same from our team. We all come from traditional gaming. And one of the things that we always dream about, even when we were doing Facebook games, was the idea of how do you take a digital item and how do you sell it, right? Seeing a little bit of this on Warcraft, and when I worked at EA, there was people would sell their accounts, and this was a big problem, things like that. But now it's like a dream come true. Just my kid spends a lot of money on Fortnite, like a lot of money, I mean, for a game, but his assets are there. He can't do anything with those. That's it. It's like bye-bye. Now with this new wave, he can take those, sell them in the marketplace. I show him the things that we're doing at MixMob with the avatars and people trading, and they're like, oh man, this is so cool. So it's a dream come true. And once, like Jesse said, once traditional people like in games and pass that stigma of blockchain, cryptocurrency that they don't understand, then they're like, oh my God, this is the future.
Yeah, I guess, like Jesse touched a really good point there in terms of like how developers seem to kind of like are not sure exactly which ones they could legitimately approach and which ones they can't, right? And I guess that would lead to like my next question about, as a player or even as a developer, like how do you sort through the hype and find which ones of these projects are really building? Because right now, like you mentioned, there's a lot of noise like in the crypto space, specifically as well in the NFT space, right? Rug pulls after rug pulls, and some of which promises a game that after a couple of months or years hasn't been delivered. So how do you think people could go ahead and really protect themselves from being so like very into deep a game that probably would scam them at some point in the future?
Yeah, I think the easiest way, I think, maybe not the best way, but the easiest way is to, approach the studios that already have games out or experiences out. There's no rug pulling there. But yeah, obviously you do want to talk to the team for extensive time. You do want to do your research and maybe, even like talk to the actual investor of the project, and to be able to find out like why you back the team and why the team, like where the momentum has from. But I'm generally sure, like when you go approach and ask teams like what have you done, like how, what's the progress, I think because they want to hire you, they're generally very happy to share the progress, unless it's like super sensitive or they haven't done anything. So yeah.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. And I guess like to sort of like really add to that, I think like whichever part you are in as a player, as a developer, there's always due diligence. Like a lot of times, like you have to really make sure. That's why they say do your own research, right? But obviously, as an industry, we are moving into this point where things are maturing. Teams are getting stronger, and there's a lot of accountability now, as opposed to how it was back then, where it's just really the Wild West. Like right now, like everybody's like putting themselves out there, really trying to make themselves known, because that is a good part of like how they can build community as well, making sure that the community understands exactly who these people are trusting, right? I guess like just a quick question on the my next kind of like question for I guess Simon or Jesse. How do Web3 I would say better enable communities? Because like that's one of those biggest selling points that we always say, right? Like with play to earn, it's all about the community. But what does it really benefit the community? If I am part of a specific play to earn project.
The first thing that comes to my mind is just the idea of like when you were young, and we're still young, right, guys? But when we were
yes, we are
like even younger, we probably really wanted to build a game. Like actually we're all in that career. Some of you have been in it forever. I myself haven't. And so I always wanted to build a game. I think a lot of people dream of building their own games. They design their own board game at home or whatever and tell stories. And so everybody wants to be a part of that kind of process, that creative process, or so many people do anyway. And when you have a play to earn game, not all play to earn games are DAOs, but like I think the ones that are taking advantage of governance and you ask about community and really bringing in everybody to have impact and influence on the development cycle, that's like really, really unique to this latest trend with Web3 gaming. So maybe it's a little broader, it's Web3. But yeah, the Aavegotchi DAO has been like the highlight of the whole experience, because we as the main devs are like continually coming up with, different communication channels and ways and always refining, but basically letting the community make the major decisions and tell us what to do. And we work for them. It's kind of the arrangement. And it's been very satisfying. So we have one of the most active snapshots in the world. And a lot of that is because they're not voting on, like most of the snapshot DAOs are voting on stale finance stuff, right? Like, do we want to adjust the interest rate by 0.1 basis points? And for us, it's like, do we want, a bad guy villain in the mountains or down here in the cavern? It's a very different use case for a DAO, and it actually will probably be a lot more popular and more prevalent than the initial one, which was like, let's manage financial protocols together. So yeah, that would be one thing I'd say, is just DAO's governance and being really hands-on and influencing the game is a very interesting thing that you can't really do in Web 2.
That's right. Kijun, Simon, anything to add?
Absolutely. I agree 100% with what Jesse said. And so for us, we started about 3 months ago. And here's a cool thing. In traditional games, you have to almost work in a silo and then it's like, ta-da, here's your game. And then you start building the community. But with this new wave and what Aavegotchi's done and, Kijun has done, and Axie, now we were able to build a community first. And in fact, this is a cool story. We had a challenge with Candy Machine on Solana, on the Solana network, which is the smart contract. And we started talking to the community. This was early, early when we started creating the community. And one person in the community was like, hey, you got to talk to this developer. He's fantastic at Solana. He's a sole developer. Here, put us in a chat. We started talking. The guy was kind of guiding us through the steps. We solved the issue. And that was the developer asking, the developer in this case, us, asking the community to help us. They helped us. We solved the issue. We managed to push forward. That to me is mind blowing, right? So that doesn't happen on a traditional game pre-game. So that involving the community that early, rewarding the community. We just launched our NFTs and people are buying these NFTs because they believe in the project. So it gives us finance, motivation, but it also gives them an incentive also to sell them, maybe sell them for more, wait for the game. It's just a new way of building games, and it's community first.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we started our community actually back in last year, 2020 March, I think, and that was like, or March or February, and that was quite before the game itself. Actually, we launched the mainnet, so it was like 8 months before launching the mainnet for Chronicles. And they helped us through alpha, they helped us through beta. We had thousands of testers actually just like test everything about the game. We had a month-long session where we gave people fake gold on the mainnet, and then they could spend and buy and test everything they wanted. And that's been a pretty incredible journey. And even like the people who bought the tokens, like the token price, I mean, nothing's like always about the token price, but who are involved, like when token price jumped about 200 times like this year, like they've been able to really like find and make a living. I've received a bunch of messages about like how fortunate they were to be involved in the game from the very beginning. And it's been really incredibly helpful to find people who are passionate about the game, and slowly we have a process called Chronicles improvement proposals, like NCIP for short, and that's where like people can write proposals for like, oh, we like the PvP arena, like right now it sucks, like we should fix it this way, and write up like because they're super passionate, and they all like a lot of people also want to be game developers, right? So they write really detailed documents and argue it together, come up with this like beautiful 10-page document about like how to fix the arena or like the play to earn economy. And then we talk with our economists, and we talk with our game designers and developers to actually bring this into the process. So it's like a full process that's been running for over 6-7 months, and we have really cool people participating in it, and some of them like we're actually hiring them half-time, full-time to just like
that's nice.
what they're doing. Yeah, and like we want to employ a bunch of players next year. Like like at least right now, like our community team consists of like 10 to 20 players that like spend like 10 to like 40 hours per week doing it. And like we want to hire more of them to build new content, new YouTube streams. And one last thing I did want to add is that since like our code is all open source. So, we've had incredible developers come in like mod and make new additions to the game, or like fix our network shit, which has been a really interesting journey. And I'm sure like we can actually, try to put more spotlight on the new creative ways that, like traditionally consumers actually start working on building, the game economy and the network together.
Yeah, that's really cool though. Like, I mean, in a way, like how things has changed in Web3 is essentially on the funding side of things, crowdfunding your game via initial NFT offering or initial token offering offering or whatever that is that you're sort of like working on, and then eventually involving the community as well in the creation of the game, or the kind of like co-creation, is really a powerful thing, especially with the DAO primitives already in place at the very least. Say for example in Ethereum, I think at some point, not just on the co-creation side of things, but also lore building is actually one of those things that can be shared with the community as well, right? Especially if they have they own some NFTs from a specific project, that they can actually go ahead and create different types of canons into that specific storyline. So I think there's the sky's the limit in terms of like what we can do with Web3 gaming, which before that we can't in Web2. And as Simon mentioned, like it's basically working in stealth and then showing up with the game. So I guess like leading up to my last two questions for you guys, do you guys think that play to earn is the best model Web3 can offer right now? And do you think that it will always be the prevailing model in Web3, or will there be more at some point in the future?
It's a good question. I think we're having this discussion internally, and it's a play on words, but I think play to earn puts a lot of emphasis on the earning side of things. So the flip now that we're seeing in the industry and internal communications is play and earn. So have fun, play, and then earn at the same time, instead of play to earn, which makes it more of a kind of like grind, but have fun. The opposite is, hey, have fun and then earn some money. So I think it's definitely a good innovation. And I mean, the sky's the limit from here. I can predict so many different, or I can see so many different uses, but at this moment, definitely is not the future, it's the present. And one thing that I will add, and I'll pass the mic, is here's what's cool about what we are all building. And in Axie Infinity, obviously they have done a really good job at this, which is they're building a universe, they're building a nation almost with their economy and all of this. And for all of us, we're doing something similar. And here's what we're passionate about at MixMob, is the idea of bringing culture into play to earn. And why culture is the future for us is because when you go, for example, to Paris or New York or Tokyo, Seoul, wherever you go, to cities that have a lot of culture, people are willing to pay higher taxes. People are willing to spend more in these cities. So what we're all doing is we're building these bits of places of universe, the Aavegotchi, all of this, and they all have their own culture. And so people are going there, and they're, if they like the culture, they're willing to spend more and have more time. That to me is fascinating, and I think that's the next level. This idea of culture, creation, collaboration. That for me is the future.
That's like basically creating a digital space where everybody can move around from one place to another, with multiple cultures being built depending on the community that you currently have. That's really fascinating. Jesse, do you have any thoughts on play to earn? Is play to earn the new shift? Because if you remember back in 2010, I would say free to play was kind of like the shift from mobile, right? And it kind of like dictated the movement of the game development over the last couple of years, even a decade. And now there's this disruption called play to earn. And do you guys think that this will be the prevailing model in the future?
I think the term will probably has not peaked, right? Google searches for play to earn will go higher. So the next 10 years, it may be, like you say, the equivalent of what free to play was for the last decade. But I think it depends, because there's competing models or ideas, just like Simon just put forward. That might be a more accurate name of what we're really aspiring to, is play and then earn some bit on the side. But I think free to play captures it. Also play to earn, but also play to own, right? So you have this like kind of idea of maybe you're not earning in of like tokens, cryptocurrencies, but you could be earning NFTs. But then I think of owning NFTs or metaverse property or other digital assets. So whatever the prevailing term is, it's all earning at the end of the day, and accumulating and building a digital life. Because at the end of the day, it's really all this is just different facets of our life becoming more and more increasingly digital. And so it's being reflected now with a way where we can have, private property in a digital world. And so, yeah, that includes earning, ownership, and sharing things like lending mechanisms and stuff. So it's going to be pretty multi-dimensional and not just like, always Farmville, something like that.
Yeah. Kijun, anything to add to that?
I mean, exactly. I think what we all call as play to earn is something much more multidimensional than that. And that's also why I don't like to use play to earn a lot, because it seems one-dimensional. Like there are like a bunch of players playing games to make money, but I feel like it's more of like the revenue stream of the game developer being shared, like game developer and publisher being shared with the people participating, being able to onboard economy at scale very, very quickly because of people bootstrapping it from everywhere. And I feel like, but play to earn is just too catchy. So I think it's like the name that will like represent the ecosystem for years to come. We can't replace it to something like, I don't know, like participate in a creative economy. That's not a thing. So
well, it is what we have. You never know, that could happen. We'll put that. Let's try that in an SEO and see if that works out. It's like something better than play to earn. But I think
I wish someone comes up with something better, but something more multidimensional. But I think that's the term we have, and very bullish on what it actually enables people to share and participate in the economy that used to be owned by publishers.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, like in other words, like like play to earn is here to stay. There will be different variations of like how that is applied, but a big chunk or a big factor that basically allows a game to be classified as something that's play to earn is that amount of financial incentive that actually trickles down, not just to the developers, but also to the players that play the game. And that's something that we've never seen before. Games has always been extractive. And so this time around, it's a two-way street. And it's I think a much refreshing model that most game developers and players are currently experiencing. I think like at this point, we've stretched our conversation far too long. I know that if given the chance, I would probably extend this more for a couple of more questions. But I guess like for the people out there who's going to start watching this at some point, Simon, how can they reach you if they have any questions about like the stuff that you're building at MixMob? Any last words for the audience?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can reach me personally at Simon Vieira or at Simon Vieira, and my last name is a bit tricky, Vieira. I'm on Twitter, I'm on LinkedIn. You can reach me directly. I'm also on Discord, and our project is www.mixmob.io. We're online, we're on Discord, and we're on Twitter. So check us out, join the community, and yeah, we're excited to bring this new culture to the table and just restart. Basically, our game is, what if when AI deleted our culture? We start from zero. So we're just excited to build it up.
Fantastic. Thanks, Simon. And Jesse?
That's a super cool concept, by the way. I like that.
Thanks.
So yeah, you can reach me at jesse@aavegotchi.com. My Twitter and my kind of online nickname is Golden Cross, but of course I spell it in a weird way. So there's like a lot of vowels missing. So you can follow me on Twitter at GLDN Cross, XROSS. So that's a double entendre there with the old favorite TA back from those days. And I guess, yeah, just our Discord's on fire, discord.gg/Aavegotchi. And the door's always wide open. So check us out, follow our Twitter, read our mediums, and hope to see you in the Gotchiverse very, very soon.
And Kijun?
Yeah, so you can find me Kijun, so Kijun SEO on Twitter, LinkedIn, and as far as Nine Chronicles and Planetarium, you can you can search for Nine Chronicles on Google and get to our Discord, get to our the Twitter, which is very, very active, and also Medium. You know, you can download and play Nine Chronicles. It's an open source, fully decentralized game. We don't run any servers, and you know, like a bunch of people are playing it. You should join if you want to join. You should join right now because we have close to like $1 million like PvP arena season going on, season 1 right now.
Okay.
So
I'll join right
happy-
after this conversation.
That's exciting.
yeah. But I had so much fun having this conversation with you guys. Obviously,
Likewise.
very fans of your
Likewise.
games as well. Yeah.
Thank you everyone for this really, really insightful conversation. I appreciate the time. And that's it for us. Hopefully everybody got something out of this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks
you.
a lot,
Thanks, guys.
guys. Ciao.
Bye.
It was a pleasure.